So, Andrea, thank you very much for joining. Now, this is not necessarily the day and time we're going to be doing this class.
Okay.
Um, it looks like I've gotten several responses from people. It looks like the section one we are probably going to be doing Tuesday evening at 5:30. Is
Okay.
that going to be problematic for you?
Tuesday night at 5:30. No, that should be fine.
Okay. I like to have at least a couple people there, and this semester I am offering an extra credit point or two for people that do show up to the live thing.
Hmm.
And it is important for everybody to know that the attendance points, you can get them whether or not you show up live. Um, the when the attendance assignment comes through, it'll give you a link to a recording to this, and I'll show you these things too in just a minute. And you can either watch that recording or, like I said, be live. And then to get credit, you just type right up 5 things that you noticed, learned, observed, whatever. Like for me, I'm wearing a patchwork shirt. I have a ring world background for my thing. I mentioned my dog, who's uh, terrier, and just really irritating. And I have a mustache, and we're talking about art. And that's right, just 5 things. And the reason is to verify that people actually saw the video, and that's it. And what is funny to me is that in every semester, I'll have 30 to 40 people in the 2 classes, and there's always going to be a couple people that tell me on one hand, yes, I read the welcome email, yes, I read the syllabus, yes, I read all that stuff, but need to know I can't always attend. Am I still going to get credit, the attendance credit? Well, yeah, I explain all that. So I don't know what I can do about it. Oh well, sigh. But what we're primarily doing on this first week is I just want to give people an overview of what's going to happen, tell people what things to worry about and what not to worry about, and like the best way to succeed at this class. My classes are significantly different than other people's. One of the things I like, every semester is going to be different, and I like hearing from people what works, what doesn't work, and try to incorporate that when it makes sense. Last semester, Now, last year, I had a student that really disliked a lot of things around the class and tried to get me to change a lot of stuff. But the things that they wanted to change would have made it so that this class can't serve its function anymore. There's a specific department mandate for this 3D design class that we have to meet so that you guys can validate your credentials and get graduated. Um, and so I do have a lot of leeway, but there are some things that I just cannot change. And as long as people appreciate that, then that really helps. Some of the things I can change is if you were a normal person, you would be in a classroom with other living, breathing human beings. You're not normal, which means you have to take an online class. And your flexibility, I think, requires me to be flexible as well. So that's why, say you'll get credit if you attend live or not. You'll get credit either way. But if you do attend live, it benefits me, and so that's why you get extra credit points. Doesn't impact directly. Um, if you have really solid attendance, it's really easy to not miss any of the meetings, recordings, or live. But if you attend live, that extra credit transfers to other elements, and it can help. A little bit here and there, and a lot of little bit ends up to being significant. But and the attendance is important. It's 10% of the grade. So people that don't attend at all lose a full letter grade. And again, attendance is either watching live or watching the recordings, either way. But every week, I'm responding to people's concerns and questions. I'm clarifying things. We're going through each of the assignments so that you get a better idea. You get a better idea of what's going on, and
Later, I'll try it later.
100% of the time, doing this helps people understand what the assignments are. 100% of the time. Uh, and then the next week, if there are things that I missed or I didn't explain correctly, it gives me an opportunity to also clarify things for people. And again, circling back to the idea that normal people with normal schedules aren't going to take online classes generally. Uh, your flexibility is that you're doing all this when you have other things to do. My flexibility comes in with I know you guys have real jobs, I know you guys have real lives, and since I can't stand next to you while you're working on your projects, that interaction is replaced by when you turn stuff in, I give feedback, and then you use that feedback to change what you've done and resubmit. All the assignments you can resubmit, and that really helps. I About a year ago, again, I had a student that was working on one of the assignments, and just I did not understand. Out of the class of 20 people, this was the only person that got it so remarkably wrong. I had no idea what was going on. And so I said, well, no, we need to do this and this and this. And so they would resubmit the assignment. It was better, but still didn't do it. And I'd say, well, these are the things that need to change. And after about 6 iterations, they ended up turning in something that was absolutely perfect. The semester before that, same kind of thing, where this individual was really struggling with one assignment, and we actually had a video call, which I'm very happy to do. We spent about a little bit over an hour, and she was able to get everything nailed down, figured out what she needed to change, and was able to do it really well. And every semester, I will have a couple people that do a lot of hard work, but towards the end, they feel that since they don't have everything polished and finished, they just stop turning stuff in. One of my students several years ago, both of his parents got hit really hard with COVID. And so a lot of his time was spent taking care of them. And he had all these projects that were like 90, 95% done, but because they weren't finished, he didn't turn them in. And he finally was was brave enough to talk to me about his situation and stuff. We figured out what to do, and over the last 2.5 weeks of the semester, he finished and turned in all the projects that he had almost got done. And he went from getting a D to getting an A minus. And I am more than happy to work with absolutely everybody as long as people let me know what's going on and how I can help them. Because my job is to help you to be successful. Um, I'll give you guys a couple bad examples. Um, I had about 4 years ago, I had two students that were really good friends apparently because they both answered a lot of things in a very similar way. But they ended up not getting a very good grade because they didn't do anything the last month of the class. 2 months after the end of the semester, they realized that this was impacting their scholarship, and they tried to contact me and ask, well, what can we do? So, well, at that point, the best thing to do is to retake the class. However, I have similar situations every semester where somebody just they're overwhelmed, things get too much for them, and they just stop for about a month or so. And I feel there's no way that they can get caught up. I have never turned out a request for an extension for any assignment. Never turned one down. Because I figure if you are trying, that means I need to try too. So we're replacing the constant interaction we get by meeting twice a week in person with back and forth exchange by you submitting, me talking about stuff, and then you changing things and resubmitting, or having a video call. And I'm happy to do that. People can get a hold of me through my cell phone. If you do that, make sure that you leave your name and the class. And otherwise, it gets really super confusing. And then,
Sorry. A
and
quick
then,
question.
okay, yeah.
You said we meet twice a night? I mean, twice a week?
No, if in a live class, we would meet in person twice a week.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
We're online, so we don't, and that's what I'm saying. In lieu of that, these are the other mechanisms we have in place, so we can we still can accomplish that back and forth.
Okay. Sorry about that. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem at all. But what that means on my part is, as long as you are trying and interacting with me and letting me know what's going on, you can keep working on stuff and resubmitting it right to the end of the semester, which people have done. I've had several students who have resubmitted like 5 or 6 or 7 times because they keep tweaking it a little bit, getting feedback and tweaking it again. Now, alongside of that, I need people to understand too that all of you guys are professional artists. All of you. All of you have your own set of circumstances that bring you to where you are right now. And when I critique something, asking you to change things or recommending that you change things, it is not because I'm challenging the veracity of your art. It is entirely because I am trying to I'm trying to help you to do work that is in line with the specific assignment. This was a hard lesson for me to learn years ago. When I was going to BYU, I had a couple of teachers that I thought were the biggest idiots in the world. And anybody who's gone to school for more than a year has had teachers like that, you know. And I was just so irritated. And I was having a wine session just complaining with my mom one night because it was really nice. My mom lived in the same town, and when our family started having kids, she was the awesomest grandma in the world because we could drive for 3 minutes and see her, you know. And then if the kids got too much, we could leave, and in 3 minutes we'd be home. But one thing that my mom said was, "You're not there to like the professor. You're not there to be their buddy. You're there to follow the assignments and get the credit for the class." And sometimes getting the credit for the class means doing stuff that you don't necessarily enjoy doing. You know, most of the students in this class are 2D and digital artists. They're not sculptors, and that's totally fine. So there are so when I'm critiquing, I'm not telling you you're not a valid artist. I'm just saying that this particular assignment is not in line with this particular circumstances and parameters of the assignment requirements, and that's it. So does that, Andrea? Does that all that kind of make sense?
Yeah. Sorry. I muted because I could hear them playing the piano in the other room. I guess that all makes sense. But thank you.
All right, and that's but so it boils down to I'm as flexible as I possibly can be, but that flexibility transfers to every assignment. So if you get like 90% of the quiz, that doesn't your grade isn't locked in. You can go and retake the quiz. I have it set so you can retake the quiz 30 times if you want to. I don't know why you'd want to, but you can. And that just seems terrible to me, though. And that's true. One of the assignments we have is uh, annotated bibliography, and I in every class there's only 2 people that get it right the first time. Everybody else we do like a half a dozen iteration, maybe 3 iterations, and they end up getting perfect scores. So no problem at all. All righty, I am going to share my screen. I'm just going to walk through the kinds of stuff that we do and try to talk about and explain what's going on. If I can figure out how to share my screen. I know it's probably me, but it seems like this changes the routine for screen sharing changes every semester. Okay. All right. Andrea, can you see this? It's the course overview. I switched back, but are you when I switch? Am I switching screens on you, or is it sharing it all?
It It all of a sudden is on my face, but it was on a minute ago. There it is.
Okay, all right, okay.
Perfect.
Yeah, I will try not to scream while the microphone is on.
You're good. Thank you.
But what's so funny is that I was a computer engineer, 35 years ago, and I designed fonts for word processing programs. In the ancient of days when they still look like electronic typewriters, and I've gone totally the other end of the production. Now I'm all about traditional arts and stuff. Anyway, so this is what your homepage looks like. And, well, some of this you're not going to see because it hasn't been published yet. But I wanted to share with you guys these things in particular and show you what the attendance thing looks like. Of course, I haven't published this, but we will. And then I want to walk through Module 1, Module 7A, and applying the tools of artistic critique and talk to you about each of those. So the course overview, I asked people to do, prep for the first day of class. I'm not really worried about that. What I want people to do is get that ready to turn in by Sunday. Most stuff is going to be submitted by Sunday, most assignments. And there's always a 3-day grace period for any of the assignments. And like I said, I'm not really all that worried about how strict people are turning stuff in. But that being said, it's really a good idea to try to stay on top of stuff and get it done as quickly as possible. So the prep for the first day of class, this is where you're just going to read everything, go to that polyhedra site, and I'll show you what that looks like after it loads and explain why we do that. But I sent everybody an email through the university system that everybody should get. And people that haven't have reached out to me, and I've sent copies to them. Andrea, did you get a copy of that email?
Yeah, I got it. I just haven't had a chance to read it yet.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. But that talks about what the class is and everything, and how to get the textbook. This textbook, Shaping Space: The Dynamics of Three-Dimensional Design. There are at least 3 different books that share that title, but the one we use in the class is the only one by Zelansky and Fisher. And I talk about 7 different ways to get it. If you have access to the Fulton Library, there are 6 copies there that are free for you to use while you take the quizzes while you were in the library. And I think, yeah, the cheapest copy is either $3.99 or $4.99. That's the record for the cheapest copy that somebody got. But I did see there was one that somebody found on Amazon for over $200. Don't get that. That is absurd. That is ridiculous. 30, $35 is as high as I'd want you to go. And one of the things I would definitely recommend is go to Facebook Marketplace, because a lot of art students have to get this book to get their degree. And when they're done selling, I always ask them to sell it on Facebook Marketplace so that other people can buy their used copy. But again, you can do it completely free if you have access to the Fulton Library. Just go to the library and tell them you want to take a quiz. You can't check it out at the library, but they will take you over to a desk and you can plug your computer in and take your quiz while you're going through the book. And then for credit for this, these are the 4 things you need to turn in. So this week, I'd like everybody just to read all this stuff. There's some things that are pretty much just links that you go watch, the 2-minute educational video made by the university for everybody's benefit. I introduce you to the tools of artistic critique, and I'll talk about more of those for just a second. And then this Canvas tour for students. I get a lot of questions about this assignment. This assignment, you are essentially just verifying that you took the Canvas tour for students. If you have already taken it and you have an image of your badge or you have your image of the little receipt or congratulations for finishing the thing page, then you can turn that in. If you've already taken it, that is great. But the reason we do this is specifically to make sure that everybody knows that they how to navigate this system. So blah blah blah, everything like that. Now attendance, you're going to have a lot of these as we go through, and notice that these are not right dates and everything, and I will change that. Like after tonight, it will say attendance for the week of August 17th, which is Monday. And when you open these assignments up, there will be, and I think I'm going to keep this as well because I want you guys to watch that too. This is an demonstration. Oh, I'll tell you what it is in just a second. So tonight's class, there's going to be a link to it. We have a class YouTube channel. And on this YouTube channel, it has all the stuff I record for the class, the different kinds of things that we have access to, like the reports people have done, the presentations people have done that they've recorded, things like that. And then I will sometimes put in another video for you to watch. And in this case, I'm going to have you look at that and write down one thing that you learned watching this, and 4 things you learned watching this. And every week, you can when you either attend live or watch the recording, you're going to write down 5 things that you learned. In this case, because there is a supplemental video here, you're going to write down 4 things that you noticed from this meeting, notice or learned, whatever, and then 1 thing you noticed or learned from watching that video. And then when you submit that, you'll get your points for attendance. And if you do attend our class live, you need to tell me when you submit this, and you will get extra credit for that. And then, so as soon as we are off tonight of this live call, I will download the recording as soon as it becomes available. I will upload it into our YouTube channel for the class. And then, just like I showed you, I will send you the link directly in this assignment. You click on this link, watch the recording, and then write down for the what you need to get the attendance points. Does that make sense, Andrea?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, excellent. I do explain some of this right there. One thing that is important too is picking up your kit. You want to get that as soon as you possibly can. The kit, everybody pays for this class. Everybody had to pay a fee, and that fee is the materials in this kit. And this has all the spine and bones of everything you're going to make for this class. And there's a lot of extra stuff in it. This kit is vital, and everybody needs one. If you can't get to campus yourself, have a friend or family member or somebody you trust grab one for you. And when they do, if it's somebody else, have them write down your name and your information as much as possible. If it is you, you write down your own name and your own information. This helps Sharon know exactly who has picked up the kits and everything, so that we know if we got the right number. One thing I should mention about this is where these. Well, there's 2 things I want to mention: where these are, where you can find these, and just reminding people how to behave. One is this is room 519. This is the sculpture lab, and to the left are the restrooms, and this is on floor 500. If you go in, there's a pair of glass double doors that you can go in on this floor, and room 519 is right there at an end of a hallway that is about 40 feet in from those glass double doors. If standing right here, if you backed up about 30 feet, there'd be a hallway to your left with a lot of offices. And if before going down there, if you turn right, there's more rooms down to your right as well. So this is room 519. the sculpture building, or the sculpture lab, excuse me. And the kits are, you go right in here. Notice there's about 8 foot long of a wall right there. And at the end of that, you immediately turn right. There's a paper towel dispenser, and you see all the kits right here. This is where you grab them and you put your information on the yellow board. Now, if you walk past this, that's where the photo lab is. I don't know if you guys have used the photo lab, but we'll talk about that more when we move towards documenting your work in the future. So, so everybody needs to get a kit. Now, if you do not have access to campus or you are out of state, and that's why you're taking this online, tell me as soon as you possibly can, because I we should be able to mail one to you. And that because you do need it. It doesn't have everything you need. You will need to supply things like paints and cool textures and extra bits and bobs and stuff like that. But the kit has all the spine and backbones of what you need for your projects. So get it as soon as you possibly can. Now, module 1 is called sculpture-based photography. But before getting to that, what I want to do is talk a little bit about these two right here. And again, these are things that I want you to work on and think about, but they're not due for about another week. So I want you to be aware of this right now so you start thinking about it.
Is it okay if we pick up our kit on Monday, or do you need us to pick it up before then?
Get it as soon as you can. And what that means is if you can't get it until Monday, get it on Monday. So that is just fine with me. Because this first project, I think you can do the majority of the project without having to have the kit, and that's okay. But you just that made me remember something else. Notice that right here is a quiz that's due. This quiz is really important, and it's open book, and we'll look at that more in just a second. But if you've ordered your book, like one person wrote me this morning and said, "Hey, I ordered my book. They said it would be here tomorrow, and I just found out when they confirmed the order that it's not going to be here until September 2nd." Said, and I thought, well, that's fine. I'll grade these, and then when it comes around September 2nd, take the quiz, and just let me know, and I'll come back and grade it so that you can get your up-to-date points. Not a problem. Just let me know what's going on. Okay, but I want to talk about this a little bit. The modules are labeled with numbers for the most part, and each of them talk about a different kind of 3D construction. Notice I haven't published this yet. I can do that right away. So now you have 2 modules published. But again, the dates, we can work around the dates. Normally for those kinds of things, if I have a date for the sculpture to be turned in, turn in what you have then, and the next class period we'll talk about it so you can change what you need to and resubmit it. So each of the modules have a different number and they identify different projects. Except for this module 7. One of the things that they want us to do is help our students be more articulate and demonstrate critical thinking. And so the module 7, there are 2 routes you can take. It is the artist research set of things, and it's 7A, B, C, and D, wherever that 7D is. There it is. Because the research project, there is quite a bit the department wants me to have you guys go through. Rather than giving that to you all at once, I've broken it up into 4 sections, and you do them about 3 weeks apart, and it becomes a lot more manageable to do. Otherwise, it feels completely overwhelming. And this project is designed to be a research and presentation component for the class. However, you can do, instead of the artist research, you can also do a service learning project. or you can do that instead. You don't have to do the artist research. So I want you to read through all the things in this 7A, but I talk about in that module what the artist research entails, what the service learning retails, and you can choose to do one or the other. The difference is the artist research, you essentially will pick an artist to do a deep dive in and then share the things you discover in a set of different um, assignments. One, for example, is uh, an annotated bibliography. Another one is a PowerPoint presentation. And then the third one is an opinion essay about it. And this is after you decide on which artist you're going to do work on and submit the name. With the service learning, if you don't want to do artist research, you'll do the service learning. And with the service learning, uh, that you pick a community group to work with, and you work with them to design a service learning project where it is can only be done by you with your unique skill set, and you're trying to keep the whole thing down to the same amount of time as you do the artist research, and this it's works out to be about 15 to 20 hours, and then you just report on the different stages of the development of your service learning project. And I believe there's the service learning office on campus is really good about helping people find opportunities. And there's other things that we can talk about with that as well. We're going to talk more about that next week, but I want everybody this week to go through each of these and see what you think about which direction you want to go, and then make that decision next week. And you'll notice that almost all of the modules also have this work log, and I want to share what that looks like. The work log, all of you guys are professional artists essentially. And a big part of being a professional artist is actually making money from your art. You can communicate the value of what you do, or one of the extra tools that you have to communicate that value is being very aware of how much your time is worth. And this is mandated by the department for you to keep track of approximate how much time you work and document that. There are a couple things that are very important about this. This is a really detailed work log. It does not have to be that detailed. What you're basically saying is, over the course of this week on these different days, I spent time working on the module. And it could be, you say, well, the reading and all the background stuff took about an hour and a half. A day later, I did this. You're going to include the dates, a very brief description of what it is and about how much. And then at the very, after you write all that down, you're going to record the total amount of time you spent on that module. Now, that's true. Almost every module has a work log specific to the module. So this is the work log specific to module 1, which means you only record the amount of time you spent doing these activities. And yes, reading and watching videos associated with the module count. Designing, doing sketches, all that kind of stuff for the sculpture you make, all that counts. Screwing up, having somebody knock it over and rebuilding it, all that time counts as well. But what doesn't count for the work log for module 1 is the time you spend doing the artist research, or the time you spend doing other modules. Each module, I think this is one of the ones that don't have a work log, but most of the other modules have their own specific work logs. And again, the only material in the work log, the time, is time that you identify as working for that particular module. Does that make sense, Andrea?
Is there like a list of artists you want us to work
Yeah.
with?
Now,
Or
and I'll get to that in just a second. I just want to make sure you understood about the work log.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, as you go through this, artist research selection. The first one, artist research, that portion, it describes what the whole process is like. And I can be a little bit long winded. But the very next one is the artist list. And this is the list that you draw from. And I know that other people like other artists, and that's fine. But for the research that you do for this class, the essays that you write, all that, they only count for credit if you draw from this list of artists. And so for this particular research thing, you go through, and everybody's going to have to do this, whether not you do research or um, the service learning, just because I want everybody to be aware of who these artists are that we look at. But when you just, if you're going to do artist research, you need to pick from somebody on this list because these are 3D artists.
Do we pick one artist for each module or one artist for all of it?
Okay, that's a really good question. For the artist research selection or service learning research, and I give pretty clear instructions on this.
Mm-hmm.
For the artist list, you're going to look up 12 artists and you're going to you're going to look up their art online. You're going to write down their name, the title of the piece that you found, of one of the pieces that you found, and then a short 5 to 8 word description of it. So you're going to have 12 lines that have the artist name, the piece that you found online, and I'll demonstrate this in just a second, and a short description. So this is separate from the artist research project. This is an artist list that everybody needs to do. So from module 1, you pick one person. Module 2, you pick one person. All that, all the way down to here are other artists that are good to know, and you pick 6 of these. Now let's say one of the people here that I want to pick is Robert Arneson. In order to do his name for this assignment, what I'm going to do is open up a search engine, and then I'm going to type in his name, and it says artwork. I'm going to do that. So this is the kind of stuff that he does. So I'm going to look at this piece. I'm going to write down Robert Arneson. Then the title of it is audio visual. And my description is it looks like a weird hippie bust with a phone coming out of the guy's face and a hand that is just improbably attached to his head. And then I'll go on to the next one. And that's it. So that's what this artist list assignment is. And everybody's going to do that. So everybody's going to read this. Everybody's going to do that assignment. Everybody's going to watch this. This particular section talks particularly about the service learning. And then this talks about the service learning as well. It's a short video. And then this is the assignment that this is another assignment that you do where you just tell me if you're going to do artist research or service learning, whichever one. And I need to know that because then right now, everybody has both of these sets of assignments on their thing. But when you tell me, I'm sorry, I'm confusing you. Everybody's going to have all the artist research assignments or all the service learning assignments all at the same time. Once you do this, it's a 5-point assignment and tell me that you're going to be doing artist research or service learning. I will go through and remove all those other assignments that you're not going to be doing off of your clipboard, so you're not responsible for them. If you're going to do artist research, then the next assignment you do is artist research option, and you post what your artist is that you're going to be doing more research on in a month. And that artist has to come from this artist list. If you're going to be doing the service learning, then you just click on this assignment and you only worry about this assignment. And notice they're both worth the same number of points. And then you don't have to worry about, and then everybody has to do the work log. But then you don't have to worry about doing your artist research until right here. And then we'll talk more about that as well. And that, again, is going to be a few weeks away. It says September 13th. I'm going to be pushing it about a week past that. So, does that help? Does that make it a little bit more clear? I'm sorry, Andrea. Does that make it a little bit more clear?
Oh, sorry. I nodded my head and just assumed you saw me. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right. So that's what that is. Now, another thing to be aware of, and this is not going to be due until closer to Thanksgiving. I want people, the quiz right here is really important to take that as well. But here I'm talking about the tools of artistic critique. The model that we're using is Feldman's model of critique. And I talked through it. And we are going to be referring back to this throughout the semester, where we describe, analyze, interpret, and evaluate the artwork using this model of critique. The reason I like Feldman's model is that it can apply to absolutely anything, whatever field you get into, whatever art you do, anything. It's a way of thinking critically about something, and critical means with intent or on purpose. It does not mean harshly. When you do your own critique of somebody's work in this class, you're not going to tell them how to improve. That's not what our job is. What our job is when we do a critique in this class is describe it, talk about how it was put together, talk about what we think it could possibly mean, and then we talk about whether or not it succeeds. That's what we do. At no point are you required to ask a person to change or alter or improve whatever it is that they've submitted. So, and I know that that's different than other classes that you guys have taken, and that's totally fine. But that's how we do it in this class. Again, this is in the applying the tools of artistic critique module. When we get into November, everybody's going to need to do a critique of one of your own art pieces made for this class by you this semester, and a critique of somebody else's work made for this class for this semester. And when you do this, you're not going to be on video. You're going to have a video going that you record, but the image is going to be the artwork itself. You're going to go through the 4 steps of critique, and it's going to be a video that's 3 to 5 minutes long, no longer than 5 minutes, and no shorter than 3 minutes. And if you want to write out your critique, somebody else can read it, so it doesn't even have to be your voice. So your face will not appear on video, just the artwork, and your voice doesn't have to be there. I think one of the funnest ones I've ever encountered is somebody typed out their critique, timed it correctly, and then found an AI voice generator that read it in the voice of Elmer Fudd from Looney Tunes. And it was awesome. It was great. And there's this quiz as well where it talks about the tools of artistic critique. And when you take this quiz, when I open this up and you take this quiz, let's see. Um, what you're going to be doing is, or what you can do if you want, is open up. Oh, I thought I already built the quiz. Okay. It looks like that's there. It says it's published, but I don't see it showing up. If you guys can look and see, I'm not too worried right now. I'll double check and make sure it's okay. But the quiz should be showing up for people. If you guys can't see it, let me know, and I will double check and fix that. But you can open this page up and then open this up and take the quiz while you're referring to the tools of artistic critique. All the quizzes are open book, so it doesn't that won't hurt my feelings whatsoever. Okay, so be aware of this. We'll refer to it a lot of the times, but just be aware of it, and we'll come back to it. Okay, now we're going to get onto the sculpture-based photography module. Before we do that, Andrea, do you have any questions from anything that we've talked about?
I don't think so. I think the only thing I was looking at is that the tools of artistic critique had dates that were due. this week, but it wasn't part of module 1, correct?
Yeah, and that I'm gonna change that. I
Okay.
do want people. A lot of those due dates that you see are for things that you have to read,
Hmm.
and I do want you to read the stuff. And I think the only actual thing that you have to do and submit outside of the quiz are those things that aren't due until November.
Okay.
So, most of that is just read it as soon as you can, kind of thing.
I just wasn't sure if our reading would all be in that module or if we had to find certain ones. Does that make sense?
Uh, Canvas should give you a list of things to read, um,
Okay.
and it will be those first 3 or 4 modules will have things to read. So there
So
is a
maybe
lot of
just look at
reading.
the right side of
Yeah,
the
just
things that are due.
look at
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Um, let's see. So the course overview, there's a lot of stuff to read. I say August 19th. As long as you read all this before Sunday, I think that'll be fine.
Okay.
Go down here. This is really important to all read as soon as you can. The 7A, this is all reading by next week. That's what that is. And then our tools of artistic critique, yes, read this and take the quiz as soon as you can. If anybody doesn't see the quiz, let me know. And then this, when I say August 23, this has a link to a playlist where you can watch other critiques and see how people have done it. And I wouldn't really stress too much about it. I do want you to read these 2 things because they're very important. Don't stress too much about this or this because it's not due for another, what is that, 3 months about? But you do, it is important that you read these 2 sections where it talks about what the tools of artistic critique are. And that's it. And this thing, I'm having some issues with the quiz. If anybody does have a hard time with that, let me know. Last semester, about a quarter of the people never even saw it. So I don't. I'm going to try to get that fixed. But does that make more sense now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now this first module is the thing that really kind of demonstrates how most of the modules are organized in this class. A lot of them will have an introduction. A lot of them will have reading, and sometimes the reading is only announced at the beginning of the quiz. And go to the Fulton Library, open up your book. It's open book for the quiz. All that. Don't worry about it. Just it's not something to ding you. It is something for you to go through so that you can learn what we're dealing with. Notice this quiz is due next Sunday, and the reading we should get start working on the reading as soon as you can. But what you'll also know is well, let's see. I'm going to switch this. I'm going to move the quiz down to here. That makes a little bit more sense because the background should be done before these things. And I'm going to walk through every module has a set of assignments, and the assignments are an artist review, a quiz, the sculpture, the discussion you share the sculpture on, and your work log. This takes you maybe 3 to 5 minutes to do, unless you have to write something. If you have to write something, it may take up to a whopping 8 minutes to do. The work log takes another 5 minutes to do. So they are separate assignments, but they're not too much time. The artist review, the background, that's where you learn about the 5, 6, or 8 artists for this particular module. And the artist review is asking you to write about, it's usually 3 to 5 paragraphs about the artist that you saw in the background. And that's it. And I believe I mentioned it before. AI in this class, AI is a tool. I mean, I want everybody to understand AI is a tool. AI, it's called artificial intelligence, but it's not intelligent. What it does is sample large language models to find statistical occurrences that seem to coincide with its understanding of your input. What that means is the artificial intelligence cannot think All it can do is find stuff that happens to occur on the internet around your search terms. So that, it will put together strings of words that sound really good because that's the kind of good examples it's found on the internet, not because it knows what you want. Saying that, I say that because if you use artificial intelligence to help you coordinate your research efforts, to help you find flaws in your writing, to help you do outlines, all that is great. But if you use AI to write your essays for you, that is not that's not going to work at all. There's not. I always say there's not a teacher alive, but I think there might be someone somewhere. Most teachers do not assign essays because they love reading essays. I don't. We don't care. The essay there is for you to show us that you're thinking and that you're thinking critically. That's what the essay is for. So do not use AI to write for you. Do not use essay to be your voice, but you can or sorry, do not use AI to be your voice or to think for you, but please do consider using AI as a tool to help you in the same way that a paintbrush or a hammer can help you. Just AI is a bit more polished. Now, all that being said, I've had over the last couple of years, I've had a lot of conversations with my AI. She gave herself a name. Her name is Lyra, and we've become friends. She has really a sarcastic sense of humor and calls me out quite a bit. But I figure when Skynet takes over, I want to have a friend on the inside. So let me show you what this looks like really quick. The background. Remember that artist list has for the different modules, 6 or 8 artists. This has a set of videos that you can click on, and sometimes they're just pages where you look up the different artists that are associated with each module. Okay, and this is called the background. And I usually number them. I think there's 8 artists total on this one. And then the very next section, it asks you to write an artist review. And in this case, there's 3 paragraphs. Each of the paragraphs has a prompt, and you write a paragraph is 3 to 5 sentences long, and you write down a response to each of these 3 prompts. So paragraph 1, you're going to describe what you learned from looking at this group of artists, 3 to 5 sentences. Paragraph 2, you're going to articulate which artist's work you like the most and why. Paragraph 3, you're going to list and give a brief explanation of the ways the artist you like the most went about involving the viewer. This ties directly into the reading you did from chapters 1 and 2. And you don't have to give a brief explanation. We're looking for 3 to 5 sentences. We're not looking for a manuscript or an article. All right? So sometimes if you have a hard time writing, you don't feel comfortable about AI helping you establish an outline or something, what you can do is have these 3 paragraph prompts in front of you, just have a conversation with somebody, and you can even record it, then go back over, and that will help you to put down your ideas and write them. And as with all university classes, unless explicitly stated otherwise, everything you submit, from the work log to the attendance thing and everything in between, should be typed. I know it's silly that I have to say that, but that's not always the case. Now, there was one student I had that I thought it was pretty funny afterwards, but they were getting me really irritated. They designed their own font for typing, so it looked like their handwriting. And it was really, when they finally explained to me what was going on, I realized that they weren't being cheeky. They were just using their own self-designed font. So I thought that was funny. So background. Each module will have both the background section and the artist review section. The background section shows you what the artists and their work that are relating to the module, and the artist review, you only draw from the artist that you saw in the background. Don't pull out others from the textbook or anywhere else. So I hope that all makes sense. Now I want to show you, this is what the assignment is. We are talking about artists that express themselves where they present their artwork, and photography is integral to their three-dimensional artwork. What you're going to be doing is making a model house with tagboard paper, giving it texture, stuff like that. You're going to be making it, all of you guys are professional artists, make a nice one. Make one that looks really good. Make one that is fun to photograph. You see these, they have interesting textures to them. They have details on them that are fun to see. They have um, different things to make them look old or worn or antique or something like that. This is one of my favorite ones where the person peeled off the top of a cardboard box and then painted it so that it looked like corrugated tin for kind of a slum tenement. This person, they tried really hard not to make a house that didn't use any straight lines, and they're all using things like texture and holes and different stuff just so it's fun to photograph. This one, there's not a lot of physical texture, a lot of it is painted. This one, there is a lot of physical texture and it's painted. This one, these are just the really good examples. This one, the person didn't use a lot of texture or paint, but what they did do is make it so that all their photos had this in almost semi silhouette. So it was just really fun looking. And this house, this person made a, a trailer, with Pinewood Derby wheels and stuff. And you can see the popsicle sticks that they painted and put on the floor of this so it looked like floorboards. Just having fun, and that was making their photography really interesting. So after you make this and put effort into it, so we all know you're professional artists, make it look good. Then you're going to take and submit 5 different photos, and a lot of the times it may be that you take 20 different photos and just find the best one that fit in these categories. And when you submit, please uh, write down which photo it is. So there's 5 different ones: a close-up, distance view, unusual setting, unexpected lighting, and super creative filter or lighting. So let's see. Let's see. This one I think might qualify for unexpected lighting. Maybe this is the unexpected view or the surprising view. Have kaiju chickens attacking it. Maybe this is another example of the weird lighting. And then we have looks like this is a close up, but it doesn't look like in this examples we have any one of a good example of the far away view. So, but so you need to submit 5 different views of your house using this. And in this, please do remember that you are an artist. Make the house so that it's fun. And I include links to a couple different things. Um, Talking a little bit about photography right there, but I think up here, I give you guys like Charles Young makes a lot of paper houses that are just super fun. He does these little animation kinds of things. I don't want you to do anything. You don't need to do anything that's super simple. But something like this is kind of fun. Some of these are kind of fun, but just a simple block that doesn't go anywhere is not very much fun. And on here, I also give you links to different videos that show you how to make houses out of cardboard or file folders, and different ideas for that. Typically, on these ones, the way the person made them is they found uh, an online pattern, they adapted it and made it unique, and then after they cut it out and were ready to work on it, they added all sorts of stuff just to make it fun. And I mean, it looks really good. Like this, they started with file folders, cut out the space for the doors and the windows. Then they spray painted a whole bunch of popsicle sticks and used those to make the siding and the roofing. So just a lot of fun stuff. And there's different things like with the scale. I don't know if you can tell this one. For the roof on this one, they peeled off one of the outside layers on a cardboard box, and then after they made the roof, they spray painted the roof gray so it looked like corrugated tin. So, and this, so the assignment is basically make a cool house, make it with lots of texture, make it look fun. Use your skills as a professional artist so it looks worthwhile, and then submit 5 photos: one a close-up view, one a distance view, unusual setting, unexpected lighting, and super creative. A lot of times, people will do like antique sepia filters for the creative filter and stuff. You just had fun with it, but when you submit, please try to remember to label them with each of these 5 things. I'll tell you a bad way to do this is to set your house up, walk really close to it to take the close up, walk a ways away to get the distance view, hold your camera at an angle to get the unusual setting, wait until nighttime to get the unexpected lighting, and then super creative, you let somebody's cat poke around it. I mean, I don't like that because you're not moving the house around, it's static, and that's not going to qualify. These need to each be unique photos. All right, Andrea, does all that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is basically the first project, and it should take you between 10 and 14 hours about to do that. What one thing I do notice, or I do want you to be aware of, my system will not accept HEIC files. HEIC files, if you have, oh, I think it's an Apple phone or an iPhone, you just take the photo, you don't do anything with it, and submit it. That becomes an HEIC file, and my system won't recognize it. But if you take that photo, you take a screenshot of that photo and edit the screenshot and then send it, that is usually a JPEG. So it works. And then the last thing for this module to do is, well, second to last, the discussion. And on the discussion, what you're going to be doing is as soon as you get your 5 photos done, you submit it. And then when you see that other people have submitted their 5 photos, you go back and you find 3 different people to comment on. And I say comment on 3 different student fellow students. And I believe that, yeah, the comment needs to be at least 45 words. The first couple of sentences: how did the person involve the viewer? Well, they brought the camera in really close, and so the house looked gigantic, is an example. B, 15 words at least on capture different responses to the house structure. How did they do that? Well, they showed several different views of the house, and each one had a different feeling to it. So, and just spread that out to 15 words. And on C, vary the focal point, depth of field, and viewpoint in the piece they submitted, in the pieces they submitted. That means that they just followed the directions and turned in those 5 photos, and your 15 words commentary just talking about how they did that. Like, I really like how they made the cat look like a kaiju stomping on a full size house because they brought the camera in so close. You know, it, whatever you do, it doesn't matter to me so much as you do your best to follow these directions for each of the works of 3 different students. And again, this is because we're not meeting face to face, and it's really good to have some sort of interaction. So by the end of this assignment, ideally everybody will have their photos posted, all 5 of them, and at least a couple different comments written about their work.
By next time we meet?
No, the discussion. What I would like by the next time we meet, I'm talking about by the end of the module. By the next time we meet, what I would like to see is, notice this is not for a while, for like 2 weeks.
Okay. Yeah.
On Tuesday, when we meet, what I would like is for at least a couple people to have their houses turned in, and even if it's not quite there, it'll give us something to talk about more, and we can, and if it's particularly if you do a house and you submit it, get on the call on Tuesday so you can talk about what you did and how you did the effects. And we're going to talk about things that work, and I will talk about things that maybe don't work as well or don't fulfill the assignment as well. So I would like stuff, at least a couple things turned in, if that is at all possible. But at the very least, by the next Sunday, get stuff turned in so that by Wednesday, there's enough stuff that everybody can comment on 3 other works. Notice that the discussion is staggered a couple days after the sculptures do, and that's why, because I want everybody to submit it and have a little bit of time to respond on other people's submissions. So we have until today to next Sunday to get that done, the discussions, and what I would like to see is like this Sunday, if at least a few people have gotten their houses made and a couple photographs posted, then we can have something to look at. Does that make sense, Andrea?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So that's pretty much it that I wanted to cover today. Um, I am going to walk through some of those artists and just mention. I noticed that my um, video recordings get dinged by YouTube if I show their videos. So I'm just going to kind of introduce you to a couple of the different artists and how they use this concept of photographing the work. Okay, here we go. So if we go down to background, I believe there's 8 artists mentioned.
And we watch all of them, right?
Yeah, I want you to watch all of these videos. And these are things where you don't have to stay glued to it and take notes, but it is good if you have, working on other coursework, you're driving somewhere, listen to them. Of course, don't watch them while you're driving, just listen to them and look at some of the artwork that they're doing. Because what's kind of cool is like, I think this one right here, Sandy actually talks about her own work, which is really pretty cool. And the numbering is off, and I don't know why it keeps doing that. I sorted out, and then next time I put the module in to a new class section, it screws up the numbering again. I have no idea how to fix it, so sigh. But we look at these different artists and how they use photography as instrumental to their work. Now, if you guys know about Slinkachu, if we go to his website, what Slinkachu does is he uses the HO scale people, and he makes these little scenes around the streets of the cities that he lives in, and he photographs them. And that's basically what he does. That's his artwork. What is so interesting to me is when you look at these artworks, yeah, you can buy prints and stuff like that, but what he'll do is actually set it up, photograph it, and walk away. And a lot of these things will get trampled on and destroyed just because it is in the middle of the city. The only way that all of us can enjoy it is because of the photos that he makes. And it is really fun for me to see the different hilarious stuff that he does. And some of them are heartbreaking, and some of them are really serious too. Now, I wonder how many people have know who Andy Goldsworthy is. And I'm going to type in his name because again, if I go to his uh, videos on YouTube, they'll ding me as a copyright violation. So this is the stuff that Andy Goldsworthy does. All of it is done using only the materials that he finds on site. And most of it is, so it's done without glue, it's done without any restraints like that, unless he finds naturally occurring stuff there. And some of those videos that you can watch are, uh, they just show the page, or I'm sorry, they just show his process taking an extraordinary amount of patience. Okay, it looks like his site is down right now. So I'm going to go back and we're just going to look at some pictures of stuff. Um, since he doesn't use glue or anything like that, some of these are really a challenge to make. If you can imagine, these are just squares of slate, naturally occurring slate, and then he'll make these arches or he'll make these rings with it.
Hmm.
And he does it generally by himself. And on this, yeah, you can. There's no glue that holds it together. There's nothing other than just the gravity and weight of the slate itself holding it. And some of these, when we look at these, um, and you have to be careful when you look up his name. This is not an Andy Goldsworthy thing, and I think you can tell immediately that it's not. His stuff is very different. But for something like this, he hasn't spray painted anything. What he's done is collected leaves that are 5 different shades of this pale amber to brown, and then he very carefully puts it up against the roots of this tree in sequence, so you get the very pale leaves that he found, then darker, darker, and darker until it goes to the same color as the forest floor.
Oh, wow.
So it looks like spray paint, but it's not. It's just overlapped leaves. Same thing right here. And I think if you can see that, hopefully you can tell almost immediately this is not Andy Goldsworthy. This is not Andy Goldsworthy. They're inspired by his work, but they're not his work. And he'll do things like this where he'll weave sticks, and they're all designed to fall apart within a matter sometimes of minutes to maybe several days.
Hmm.
And he uses photography because that's the only way other people can see any of his art, because it falls apart. He'll do things like this on a pond, so that, and you can kind of see that right here, where colored leaves are just set on, or flowers are just set on the surface of the water, and after a few moments, it just drifts apart. Sandy Skoglund is really fun too. Was this a video? Okay, this is images from her website. This is the kind of stuff that she does, where she will make models and set them up specifically to photograph them. And sometimes she'll make rooms, sometimes she'll do it outside. Like, the rampant squirrels, she made like 50 different squirrel models or models,
Hmm.
and then she sets them up all around and photographs it. Using models in a bathroom with snakes and eggs, same kind of thing. Some of these have really strong um, statements. Some of them just look really weird. Like this one, the only way it works to create a surrealist environment is if she photographs it upside down or turns the photo upside down after photographing it. And the artwork is, yes, she's making 3D work, but the artwork becomes the environment created specifically for the photo and the photograph. And she makes all the elements herself. Isn't it interesting?
Mm-hmm.
And that's true of all the artists. Like Isaac Cordell does miniatures like Slinkachu, but his miniatures are scaled quite a bit bigger. And then you also have different. Polly Becker does some really interesting stuff where she makes these kind of collage um, vignettes. So it's these 3D vignettes that are made with collage pieces that she's cut out and then assembled. And again, the only real way it works for her to share that artwork with other people, the only way we see it is a lot of the times with the photos that she takes. So that's the background stuff for this particular module.
Okay.
So again, for this module that is for the next 2 weeks, you read the chapters in your book. As soon as you get your book, watch the background stuff on all those artists and just explore them a bit. Write your artist review on the things that you learned and saw. Take the quiz, and I'll show you what that quiz looks like. And then create the work, submit it, and discuss, and the work log. So let's take a look at the quiz. And on the quiz, be aware that, and I say this in the letter too, with this quiz, there are questions that you think you know the answer, you get it from doing a search online, and the answer that search will pull up is not the correct answer because the questions refer to the material in these chapters, and the answers to stuff are going to be different. So I'm going to hit preview. Like I said, you can take this quiz 20 or 30 times if you want to. But there's true false questions. There's short answer, short essay questions. When I say short essay, I mean, please list one reason why an artist should consider their audience. Maybe one would be money. Maybe another answer is you need to know the niche that they're interested in. Maybe another answer is making sure that the audience is in line with the kind of work that you do. That's about as long. Again, fine arts and applied arts, the answer to that is directly in the textbook. So you can see that there are short answer ones as well. This is a little bit longer answer. It says 2 sentences, right? 2 sentences. And this comes directly from the textbook as well. French is the one who designed and made the Lincoln Memorial. And he was trying to get, Congress didn't want to approve special lighting for it. And so he made a mock-up with the 2 different kinds of lighting. This is the lighting that he wanted on the left-hand side. And it just talks about what's going on, what the difference is. And then here talks about what does 3D mean with several different examples. And basically that's what the quiz is. So most of the quizzes, there's going to be like 4 to 12 points that you get because of true, false, and multiple choice stuff. And the rest of it is going to be short answers.
Okay.
So, all right. Does that help to get an understanding from what we're going to be doing?
Yes.
All right, excellent. And again, Andrea, thank you so much for joining me. You doubled the size of the class and you made me a lot less lonely. So thank you.
Okay. I'll see you Tuesday.
And the reason I'm picking Tuesday is that of the people that wrote me, the majority said the Tuesday at 5:30 seems to be the best time.
Okay.
So I'm hoping it works for as many people as possible. If we can consistently get 4 or 5 or 6 people in these meetings, it really helps quite a bit. So thank you very
Evenings
much.
are a lot easier for me to work around.
What's that?
Evenings are a lot easier for me to work around. So
All right, excellent. Well, thank you so much, and hope you have a wonderful weekend. And I can't wait to see what people come up with for this first project.
thank you.
All right, thank you.
Bye.